As the sun sets over Sakhir and teams prepare to pack 11 days of data into their haulers, the paddock's atmosphere has shifted abruptly. For weeks, the prevailing narrative was that Mercedes had reclaimed its invincible 2014 form, leaving rivals to fight for scraps. However, Ferrari shattered that silence so loudly that even the Mercedes engineers were seen frowning at their monitors. Charles Leclerc's blistering 1 minute 31.992 was not just a glory run, it was a manifesto of the SF-26's aerodynamic and mechanical readiness. But the real story is not in Leclerc's outright pace, it is hidden in Lewis Hamilton's launch simulations and Ferrari's deceptive energy efficiency. Ferrari does not look like a passive player waiting for the season to start. They look like a special forces unit trained to seize the lead at turn 1 in Melbourne and end the race right there. What truly places Ferrari in the title fight this year is their preemptive mastery of the infamous 2026 Pillars of Chaos. The 2026 regulations will not be won by downforce alone. This is an energy war, and Ferrari currently possesses the wealthiest battery bank in the paddock. Mercedes might be producing more peak horsepower on the straights, but Ferrari understands when, where, and how to deploy that power better than anyone else. Hamilton's legendary launch from 11th to 1st was not a fluke. It was the calculated outcome of Ferrari's small turbo architecture and seamless MGUK synchronization. Ferrari is not chasing raw speed, they are chasing operational supremacy. If Mercedes arrives in Melbourne thinking we might be a bit faster, Ferrari might respond with, "But we have already won the race." Because for Ferrari, the race seems already won in the final preparation stages, long before the lights even go out. The moment that literally froze the paddock was Lewis Hamilton's launch simulation. Under the convoluted 2026 protocols, Hamilton surged from a virtual 11th place on the grid to 1st before even reaching the first corner. In an era where George Russell admits starts are their tallest hurdle, the Ferrari SF-26 launches like a mechanical slingshot. The 2026 procedures require maintaining a perfect equilibrium between turbo RPM management, the massive 350 kilowatt electric motor synchronization, and precise clutch bite point sensitivity. Ferrari's absolute smoothness in this domain has triggered a red alert at Mercedes. With Russell confessing his own starts were the worst he has ever felt in F1, Ferrari's brutal superiority in those opening seconds could effectively render Mercedes' strategic plans obsolete within the first 200 meters of the Melbourne race. Behind Ferrari's staggering launch and low-speed acceleration lies a radical and irreversible architectural decision, the small turbo. While Mercedes opted for a larger unit to maximize peak power at the end of the straights, Ferrari went for a smaller turbo that spools up faster, requires less energy to reach optimum revolutions per minute, and pairs with the electric motor in milliseconds. This is not a software patch rivals can replicate, it is a hardware-level advantage embedded in the car's DNA. Ferrari produces torque much faster than its competitors out of tight exits like turns 1 and 10. Mercedes might eventually hit a higher top speed of 345 km per hour, but because Ferrari reaches its velocity curve so much earlier, they have already built a gap while Mercedes is still waiting for its larger turbo to provide full boost. This architectural pivot is in perfect alignment with the energy-conscious ethos of the 2026 era. Ferrari's aero philosophy is not just about downforce, it is built around keeping the battery charged. Their much-discussed 180-degree somersaulting rear-wing flaps do not just grant raw top speed. The primary objective is to minimize electrical deployment requirements on the straights. When the wing performs its full rotation to an inverted profile, it virtually deletes the drag coefficient. This allows Ferrari to hit competitive velocities while drawing 15 to 20% less energy from the battery compared to its rivals. They then treat this saved energy like a bank account, storing it for defensive maneuvers or aggressive overtake mode bursts later in the lap. It is the most brilliant energy management solution in the paddock. Given the gearbox and internal packaging constraints, rivals copying this system mid-season seems technically impossible. Lewis Hamilton integrated into the SF-26's development months ago via the simulator, explicitly telling Fred Vasseur, "My DNA must be in this car." The rear-end instability that plagued his final 3 years at Mercedes seems to have been eradicated by Ferrari's new diffuser and exhaust configuration. Ferrari engineers developed a system that directs exhaust gases into the diffuser vanes during deceleration, literally vacuuming the car to the track under braking. This allows Hamilton to reclaim his signature late braking style. When Hamilton describes the car as fundamentally different from anything he has driven, and that connection reflects in his metronomic testing consistency, Mercedes has every reason to be afraid. A Lewis Hamilton who trusts his rear axle in a Ferrari is a lethal prospect for the lights of Melbourne. Mercedes' long-run pace is undeniable. They put on a reliability masterclass by consistently hitting the 1 minute 35 mark in race simulations. However, 2026 will not be settled just by a lap timetable, it is an operational war. On a circuit as narrow and overtaking averse as Melbourne, the launch and energy management are paramount. Even if Mercedes holds a 1/10 raw speed advantage, if they lose the lead to Ferrari's slingshot start, piercing through Ferrari's smart energy defense in dirty air will be a Herculean task. Ferrari's strategy is clear and ruthless. Seize the lead at turn 1, utilize the battery-saving wing to defend on every straight, and suffocate Mercedes in aerodynamic turbulence. Mercedes might be the fastest in the paddock, but Ferrari is currently the most clinical and race-ready outfit. George Russell's admission that their starts are a disaster is not just modesty or a distraction, it is a signal of deep technical alarm. Mercedes engineers have yet to fully optimize the turbo lag inherent in their large turbo choice during those critical first 2 seconds of the launch. With only 3 hours of practice in Melbourne before qualifying, Mercedes has a razor-thin window to fix this massive energy software glitch. While Ferrari has already achieved a state of operational confidence, Mercedes might still be in the garage troubleshooting with laptops. The cool, measured optimism in the Ferrari garage under Fred Vasseur signals a much more disciplined and dangerous Scuderia. They are not just saying they are fast, they are saying they have solved the riddle of race control. The SF-26 might be the most complete and ready package Ferrari has produced in the last 2 decades. While Mercedes' raw speed is a fact, Ferrari's launch power combined with Hamilton's developmental DNA and that radical 180-degree wing has shattered the status quo. Charles Leclerc's 1:31.992 proved the car has an incredibly flexible operating window across both qualifying and race stints. The 2026 revolution will reward the team that uses energy most wisely and makes 0 errors at the start line, not necessarily the fastest one. Ferrari has now placed Mercedes under severe pressure as the paddock's benchmark. The quiet, assured smiles on the faces of Ferrari engineers as they head to Melbourne might just be the ultimate harbinger of a red resurgence and a 2026 championship. As Sakhir testing officially enters the history books, we aren't just counting down to Melbourne, we are witnessing a formal declaration of technical warfare for the 2026 season. There is no doubt that Mercedes is still playing the sandbagging game at the highest level. But the ultimate question remains, by the time Mercedes finally drops its hidden tenths onto the table, will Ferrari have already cleared the first corner and vanished into the distance? Lewis Hamilton's legendary launch simulation where he sliced through a virtual grid from 11th to 1st is the ultimate proof that Ferrari has already deciphered the soft underbelly of the 2026 regulations. Ferrari's small turbo architecture and its hybrid system that reaches peak deployment in mere seconds could turn Mercedes' massive but lag-prone big turbo strategy into a nightmare at the very first race. Do you truly believe Ferrari can finally end their 2-decade-long title drought in 2026? Or will Mercedes reveal their brutal hidden power the moment the lights go out in Melbourne and wipe the field just like they did in 2014? Can Hamilton's mastery of the Ferrari launch system single-handedly derail Mercedes' season? Let's engage in a deep debate over this new balance of power and the SF-26's boundary-pushing design in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for the final pre-Melbourne technical leaks, telemetry deep dives, and the hottest paddock rumors. The 2026 revolution is just getting started, and we'll be here to bring you the sharpest insights from every single lap. Wishing you the fastest, readiest, most efficient, and most championship-driven exit from the pits. Peace.